Breaking news from the NBA, Yahoo Sports reporting that Chris Paul plans to return from COVID protocol for Game 3 tomorrow in LA against the Clippers. Paul missed the first two games of the series against LA, the first two games that were in Phoenix. And Phoenix won both of those games, including last night's thrilling Valley Oop to win it on the DeAndre.
Chris Paul coming back actually favors the Clippers. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at, the way the last two games have went in this series, both games it came down to the wire. Both games with the Clippers and the Suns have, lived up to expectation with the talent that's on the floor. I mean, because both games Clippers could have won, but both games the Suns won due to executing better and making the necessary plays at the end of the game. Making the plays that count, doing the little things, the intangibles, doing the things that will allow you to win, doing championship type things that can allow you to get to a finals and win a championship. That's what the Phoenix Suns have displayed the last couple of games in this series. But if you look at both games were played at a high pace. Both games were played at a level where the Clippers aren't used to it. See, the reason why the Clippers beat the Suns 2-1 in the regular season, because the game was different. The game was half court. The game was slower. And this is the point I'm trying to make when you look at both of these teams. They match up well for the most part, but some of the Clippers' weaknesses are some of the Suns' strengths and vice versa. So what I'm saying is when you look at this series, it really can go 7 games if everybody plays the way they're supposed to on the Clippers. But the point is, the reason why Chris Paul coming back could really impact this series in regards to the Clippers' favor is because of how the game is played. And what I mean by that is Chris Paul plays more of a half-court game. Control, anchor, the quarterback of the team, the lieutenant, slow it down, put everybody in the right position, have everybody operating the way they're supposed to, the way you want them to, run the offense the way it's supposed to be ran, almost like you're executing, plays at a high level, and you're doing it on a high stage, and you're pulling the right strings of the players. And that's what Chris Paul is able to do. He's almost like a coach on the floor. And what that brings to the Suns, it makes them a better team. Don't get me wrong, but in a series like this, it can make them the lesser team, because when you look at the first couple of games, the way Cameron Payne played the first couple of games with basically turnover free, didn't give any possessions away, and he played at a high level, it really, really bothered the Clippers because Cameron Payne plays at a faster pace. He plays at more of a, all gas, no brakes type pace. And I think that bothers the Clippers more than actually, helps the Clippers. So with that being said, now that Chris Paul is coming back, the game is going to be slower. And I think the reason why that favors the Clippers more is because the Clippers play more isolation basketball at times than the Phoenix Suns do. So if you look at Chris Paul, there's a lot of times where he is looking to make the pass. He is looking to facilitate, but there are times where he gets into the teeth of the defense and gets in the mid-range and dance on them because he's looking for his own shot. And Chris Paul is not as aggressive as Cameron Payne is, maybe because he's not as young as he is, and just the fact that he doesn't have that explosiveness that Cameron Payne has. So Cameron Payne brings a different dynamic to the game when he plays the Clippers, and the Clippers really don't have an answer for it, and they haven't been prepared for it so far in this series. That's the reason why the Clippers are down 0-2. The problem with the Clippers is Paul George has to be able to manufacture and combat everything that comes his way in regards to pressure and being the guy, being the focal point now that Kawhi is out, because it is his duty to do so. He is the second best player on the team for a reason. That means if the first best player goes down, you become the guy, and you have to take over these games and play at a high level, and you can't miss any opportunities. The opportunity last game of the 2 free throws, some people are talking about it. A lot of people aren't trying to talk about it. But at the same time, the reason why you got some analysts out there speaking on it or mentioning it is because that could have decided the game, because if he hits 2 free throws, I don't think the Suns hit a game-winning 3 with 0.9 seconds to win the game. Not saying that they wouldn't have, but I just see it highly unlikely. And more than likely, Monty Williams probably would have drew up a play where they tie the game to go in overtime rather than take a 3 to win it, probably. But who knows how that goes? It didn't go down that way, so there's no need to really speak, on that too much. But my point is, when you look at this situation in its entirety, Paul George has to be better, and he has to be more clutch. And what I mean by clutch is, when it comes down to 2 free throws at the end of the game, you need to at least hit 1. You can't go 0 for 2. Now, I think the reason why a lot of people are not, downplaying the fact of the 2 free throws is because he had a really, really good, outing up until that point. The fourth quarter, he had like 9 points. He scored 6 points in the last couple of minutes. 6 big points in the last minute or so of the game. And he really, kind of put the team on his back for a minute there. But I mean, that's all it was, a minute, because it went away as soon as he went to the free throw line. And, when he went to the free throw line, I'm not going to be the one to sit here and say I thought he was going to miss both, but I did possibly think it was a chance he would miss one with that type of pressure, being on the road and, just the pressure of being the guy at the moment to save the team and put them, on his back completely and completely fulfill the win, completely fulfill the destiny by winning the game. But he couldn't do it, and that's okay. He has a chance to redeem himself tonight. But these are the type of things that the little things that can prevent the Clippers from moving forward past this series, because you can look back at this game and say, wow, Paul George hits 1 free throw out of 2. It's possible in 0.9 seconds the Suns don't even get a shot off. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, now you're going back to LA, tie 1-1, and the pressure is off you some. Now the pressure is on the Suns to react and respond to the last game that they would have lost. But that's not the case. The case is they're up 2-0. Now the pressure's on PG and the Clippers, and everybody's anticipating to see what happens and how it goes down. So my point is this, we can look at a lot of things, but right now it falls on PG. As far as being the guy and everything like that. So that's what the Clippers are going to need from him. They need at least a couple others to come right along with him and, secure the bank. Basically, what I'm saying? They got to get tonight's games. No other way to look at it. But this is my point here in regards also to the Chris Paul thing. Like I said, with Chris Paul being back, it goes to the Clippers' advantage because, for one, he hasn't had any rhythm. He's been off for a little while. He's been off for a couple weeks, I think totally altogether, since they swept Denver and, they were waiting, for the Clippers. I think they've been off a week. So a week plus a couple of days for Chris Paul, he's gotten the rest that he needs. But the rhythm that he's going to come back with might not be so promising for the Suns. And I feel like that's going to play in the Clippers' favor, along with the crowd and just being at home and everything, working in their favor in regards to that. But my point is this: as the series goes on, will Chris Paul be the reason why the reason why the Suns find themselves in a tougher series than what they are now? Because, it's when you look at the entirety of the situation, Chris Paul plays slower. And like I said, he's more mid-range. He's not about driving to the basket, getting layups, trying to, create contact, draw fouls. That's more of Cameron Payne's game. And if the Clippers don't have to worry about a point guard being blazing fast, getting to the rim, playing at a high level, and getting big shots and, getting easy 2-point shots the way Cameron Payne can do, that's going to bode well for the Clippers. Now, hopefully, for the Clippers' sake, they can catch Chris Paul off guard these next 2 games and tie the series up. Because if they tie the series up, well, anything can happen then. Anything can happen. So, I mean, that's definitely in the Clippers' favor. And we'll see exactly what type of rhythm Chris Paul has. It's reported that he will play tonight. So, that can bode well for the Clippers, because it might throw the rhythm off of the Suns that enable the Clippers to actually pull out a victory that'll give them some confidence going forward in this series. Now, I do want to piggyback on the Paul George thing. It's an immense pressure on Paul George tonight. It's no need to sit here and act like the pressure isn't on PG. There's no need to act like Paul George can dodge the pressure. I'm going to say it's up to a 10, like Skip said today. I agree with Skip. Actually, I agree with Shannon, too. A 9 and a 10 is definitely in that range because you have to put this team on your back and you have to be more efficient. I don't need Paul George starting the game off 0 for 5, 0 for 6, and then the other guys are carrying the load. You're supposed to be the star player of the team. You start off 5 for 5 and lead and let everybody else follow your lead. That's what it's going to have to be, and that's the way you're going to have to play. Because if you're not playing like that, the Clippers don't have a chance in this series. And there's been a lot of times in these playoffs that a lot of people are not saying that Paul George starts off 0 for 5, 0 for 3, 1 for 6, 2 for 7, and Kawhi Leonard was carrying the weight. Kawhi Leonard was carrying it, and it overshadowed the inconsistency that Paul George was playing with. The inconsistency in his efficiency anyway. And these are the things that will hurt you in these games, especially now that Kawhi isn't around to wipe your nose and clean up your messes. So now, PG, the pressure's on you. Let's see what you can do. I hope that you play up to the level you're supposed to, because they're ready to roast you. And the media is ready to roast you and this team, because they want to bury this team as much as they can. But you can't let them. You have to put the team on your back. And Reggie and Marcus Morris or Terrence Mann, whoever it may be, need to come out blazing. Because if you're not, you're going to be down 0-3. And this series is over then. And I don't know if Kawhi Leonard's going to come back if you're down 0-3, because I don't think it really makes much sense or any point, or it's not even worth the risk of getting hurt being down 0-3, because it's really inevitable to win a series like that. But, hey, that's my take on the situation. That's my take on everything. Let me know what you think in the comment section, like we always do. Khaliis Take family, let's talk about it and let's engage. And Khali out.